I want to meet and greet everyone and say that I know we all feel the same way now, probably. We are inspired after a really beautiful program, hearing two powerfully engaged women. And I want to add Lynn to that also, because her story is also moving and inspiring to me. Hearing these women talk about their motivation to make the world just a little bit better through their actions and through their support of incredible initiatives.
There you are.
Right now, I have a question. Do I have Lilian here and do I have Michal here?
Yes, you do. You have me.
Because I
I'll
wish
be
you were
right back.
somewhere big on the page, right? Yes, what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try to get everybody in gallery. Ah, there we are on my big screen, and I can probably fit 30 of you. I've got everyone. Amazing. So personally, I want to thank Lilian for your beautiful discussion. I know as a daughter, and I'm speaking here, as we all have moms somehow. I'm going to be a better daughter because you have inspired me even more to connect with my mother's story and to make sure that we're there and we're there to lift up when we need to.
Thank you so much.
So it was very special for me. And Michal, I spoke to you for about an hour before we had this program today, and I thought I felt and I knew you then. I felt your enthusiasm and your warmth, and today I just fell in love with you all over again, with your story and with your powerful capacity to lift people up and to help us understand the needs in the Gaza envelope. So thank you so much for that presentation. But most important, as I look at everybody on my screen here, I want to thank all of you women for being sapphires, for being, the foundational supporters of all of our JNF projects. I'm looking, and I have to tell you, unique jewelry is so overrated because when I look at this jewelry, which maybe isn't one of a kind, I feel like this sisterhood. Like we've got this sisterhood, and I immediately connect with everybody. And I'm not a jewelry person. You probably know me. You know that about me. But this is an important piece of jewelry here. And I feel great seeing so many of you wear this on this occasion and always, because we proudly are, birds of a feather supporting what we care most about, which is Israel and the incredible projects that JNF is building. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I don't want to spend more time saying thank you to this amazing crowd because I think we want to hear from you. We heard so many beautiful thoughts from our speakers. I'm going to open the floor and you can just go like this and raise your hand if you'd like to start and ask a question, a personal question for Lilian or for Michal as a follow-up to their lovely, engaging talks. Anybody? Because if you don't start, I will. And I see Nancy Seth. Go ahead, Nancy.
So I have a question for Michal, and I thought she did such an amazing job. But Michal, what are your biggest challenges in the Gaza envelope, and where are the needs the greatest?
Wow, it's a big question. What are the greatest challenges? I think that the biggest challenge is to choose to be here every day and to raise your children to be healthy, positive people. And I think it's a challenge for all of us these days because the world is crazy and suddenly you need to choose every day to wake up with a big smile and to move on. But you are helping us a lot, and I mentioned it when I spoke because I will say it this way. I once saw an amazing movie. It's called Nation in Stress. I think I shared it with Erica, and it talks about you Americans and about the fact that many Americans the life expectancy is dropping. And you have more suicide than homicide, and people die from overdose of opioids. And they said that you don't see the same trend within the Hispanic American community. And the reason is two things: community support and community cohesion. And the fact that you are with us every day. And this is something that we're working on also inside our community, to remind ourselves that we have each other to support and to go to manage all the challenges, because we're together and we will handle it. And when I share with you amazing project like all the projects of the Resilience Center, that what actually we're doing, we're helping one-on-one therapy, we're helping community programs, we remind ourselves constantly that we are not alone. There is an amazing Jewish National Fund project now called the Play School, which is the indoor sheltered playground for the children and for the entire community to get together and to create. And these are all of your projects, mostly are projects that helps us to remember that we're here to support each other. And the way you're working with us, the Sapphire Women, the Women for Israel event, constantly sharing our story, this is the best gift that we can give to these communities that are going through these ongoing emergency routine constantly, to remember that we are not alone. And again, going back to the amazing, inspiring story of Rosalee, this is what she did. And I had this amazing conversation with Lilian and with Dr. Glass, and to understand what an amazing woman she was. She always created community around her. And this is, look on the screen, the Sapphire Woman. This is the amazing, this is the most amazing thing that you can do, to remember that we are not alone, and together we will overcome any challenge.
I think that's such a beautiful response. And it reminds me what Lynn said before, that she cares most about people more than buildings, she said. And I think we have such a strong theme here, because you are understanding the need for support systems from people, looking at these faces and looking at the caring that's provided by our network of not just caregivers and skilled people, but supporters who understand the needs. So I think that's a beautiful answer, Michal. And I was thinking of Lilian. I want to ask you a question, then I'm going to go to someone else. I imagine you were in college or at some point when you learned about some of the very traumatic events of your mom's childhood. And I wonder, you have been her rock, and you were the person that helped her rise out of a sadness when you both suffered tragedy. You lost your brother, she lost a son. Where did you draw upon these tools from? What did you draw upon to know that you had to be that person to bring your mother out? And how did you achieve that? What did you find? You didn't have a resilience center, you, Lilian. So where did you find that?
Well, I think it came from love. I loved her more than I loved myself. And I think when you love your children more than you love yourself, when you love your parents more than you love yourself, then you can do some remarkable things for them in life.
Wow.
So I think that's where it came from.
That's a very selfless answer, because usually those of us who have had children, we say, mother love is the most powerful thing. And here we see daughter love. It's like your love that drove you to want to make your mother happy.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because our relationship, and that's what the new film is about. It's called She Used to Be My Daughter. And it really is about the mother-daughter relationship, how it changed. Yeah. I mean, she was an extraordinary mother, and then I became the mother. It started out, I became her stage mother, and took her on all these auditions to be an actress, and she did very well at it. And then, I became her actual mother, and very protective and like a little lioness, and, just not letting anything affect her, and making her life the happiest every single day I could.
That is beautiful and inspiring. Penelope, you have your hand up. Oh, unmute, please. Just hit your unmute button, or I can do it for you.
I'm sorry?
Penelope, can you unmute?
Yeah, I'm okay. This question is for Lilian. What is the most frequent kind of feedback that you get from people, their reactions to the film?
It's overwhelming. They love it. They are just absolutely moved by it. It's inspired them. They feel they've gone through a whole roller coaster of emotions. They feel that it just shows the love between Rosalee and I. I think that's the big takeaway. And that's what kind of leads me to do the next film. And the next film is, because this was her story, and the next film is our story. And it's kind of interesting because the story and the feedback is so important, because so many people face the same thing where they become the parent to their parent. And the extraordinary relationship we had, the love. I had a very successful career before I dedicated my life to Rosalee. I kind of gave up everything so I could take care of her and be with her 24/7 and explore the world together and have the most glorious life with her. And that's what I did willingly. I had already been famous and in the public eye, so why not make her famous in the public eye? And she loved every minute of it.
I think for me, watching the film, the major impact, not the takeaway, but the major impact for me was that it made me look at myself and think, if I had been her or you in those situations, would I have had the resources or the will to live that really carried her through? I think the will to live, no matter what, it's just something we don't really understand.
I think that's a brilliant statement that you just made, because her will to live was me. The love was so intense between us, and my will to live and my, love conquers all. I mean, you can, even with my father, he had so many ailments. I mean, he should have been dead 40, 50 years ago. I mean, he was so sickly, and yet he lived to be 90 with one lung, one eye, all bleeding, all kinds of kidney problems, you name it, liver problem, you name it. But his love. So the message is true love. If you love somebody, you'll do anything for them.
So he had the will to live
For her.
Supported by her love.
And she had the will to live supported by me. So I think that if you have something to look forward to, that's why people give up on life. And especially, now we're in this COVID world and it's so frightening, but many people pull through because they know there's somebody on that other end that needs them. Not everybody, but luckily, if you can just, bear through, because if somebody in your life makes life worth living, that's it.
Well, your film was a gift, and
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to exploring your books. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful and honored. Thank you.
Betsy. Unmute, please.
I also thought the movie and your speech, as well as Michal's, were absolutely wonderful. I'm just curious, you lived so much a part of your mother's life, and then I didn't realize, but then she did pass away, I guess, at 103.
Yes, it was very tragic. She was on her way. I mean, no matter what we think of President Trump, the one thing I did see is he really loved Rosalee and treated her beautifully. And he signed an executive order in her honor to prevent anti-Semitism in the universities. And then on the other side, she was by Congress, there was a flag flown over Congress, the Capitol, in her honor. So this was just amazing. And she died. We were on the way to the plane, and the people that handle the wheelchair, they dropped the wheelchair, and then it caused a blood clot to her heart, and she died tragically.
Well,
So because she had so much to give, and I know she knew about this seminar, and she was really excited about seeing Phyllis, first of all, and because Phyllis and I are high school mates, and she was so excited to speak to all of you. So this was such a terrible experience and tragedy. So it's been a very tough year for me, not just being locked up in COVID, but going through mourning of somebody that was my life.
well, my question, I'm so sorry, I had no idea about the circumstances, but my question is, since you were so devoted to her, how do you see your where you're going from here? Obviously, there's another movie, but then what's your next focus to keep?
Well, I think being a filmmaker, I have 2 movies right now that I'm trying to sell that are actually, one is about a civil rights leader and unsung civil rights hero, kind of a Black Rosalee. It's really a beautiful story. And she was in her 100 when she passed away, close to 100. A fabulous lady, handpicked by Martin Luther King, friends with Rosa Parks. And so I finished that movie. And then I have another movie about police use of force, the solution. Instead of defunding re-educating. And I have and I've interviewed people like Bill Bratton and all over the country. And I was working on that while Rosalee and I went to all these cities to do press on the film and to promote her film. And so I would stop off at the head of a police department and, just try to find out what they were doing. And it's quite fascinating. So that's kind of where I'm at now. But the future, I think being a filmmaker is kind of my new life. That's not what I was. I was a body language expert, and I still do a little bit of it for court cases and analyze things for attorneys that need to see what's really going on with clients, who's lying, who's telling the truth. So I think the body language element and communication was a major part of my life. But now I think being a filmmaker and putting more effort into finding a man in my life and getting married, because that's one thing Rosalee kept saying, get married. But I just, too busy, not now. So I think it's just really putting that out there.
Beautiful. These are good goals.
If God gives that to me.
Good goals. Can I ask a question of Michal real quick? I'm thinking about what I learned about you. I'm not sure you shared everything today, but you are also a model of resilience. First, I love that you brought up your children and how they motivate you to do the work you do, because you care so deeply. I think they changed your life. But as a child, you shared with me that you were also you experienced a traumatic event when you had to move from Sinai. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yes. I was born in 1977, so it was a time that Israel was still in Sinai. Also a generation that the parents said probably by the age of 18 they won't have to go to the army. But in 1982, Israel gave up Sinai because peace, shalom, is more important than anything else for us Israelis and Jews around the world. And Israel gave back Sinai, and we had to rebuild and to start all over. My parents, I was 5 years old. My brother was 7 years old. A young couple. My parents had to start from all over, and it was tough. There was a moment that I shared with you, I think, about watching the TV, and we were sent to Tel Aviv, and we watched the disengagement from Sinai from far, and they gave me to watch the news, and I saw something like it was police officers that were climbing on a building trying to take people who were protesting, including my parents, off the building so we can go ahead with the disengagement. And for me, watching these moments and saying maybe someone is trying to hurt my parents. So I shared with you that even today, whenever they show historic moments from this moment, it's something that is it's a reflex for me. I just start to cry immediately. And thinking about my children, what will be their moments, we have a lot of moments. I don't know if there was a moment that my son called me. I was in Colorado and he was here in Israel, and he told me, Mom, today the siren went off and I was 20 seconds away from the shelter, so I just lied on the road and put my hands on my head. And he said, but Ima, I was okay. I wasn't afraid. I was safe. And I couldn't understand. He was 8 years old back then. I couldn't understand how could he calculate what's a 20 seconds and what's a 15 seconds run. But it is what it is. But I can tell you, he's a happy child. He's standing just behind the computer right now, looking at me. And I guess all of us has tough moments, but we need to overcome, and we need to hug our children and say, okay, life sometimes give us challenges, but we are okay. We will overcome,
Right.
and we will move on together.
And like you told me, you always focus on the 99%. That is very good, right?
Yeah.
We have time for maybe one more question. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I will just say that the mayor of my region, Gadi Arconi, he is the last wounded person from the big operation in 2014. In the last hour, just before the ceasefire, they didn't let us know that a ceasefire is coming, and he went to fix an electric wire. And on his way to fix the electric wire before the night falls, before any ceasefire, it's the time that they will shoot the most rockets, because they will try to get a leverage, and it was massive rocket shooting, and a mortar exploded between his legs, and he was lucky because the shrapnel didn't hurt him. They hurted the people around him, and he lost two of his good friends, and Gadi lost both of his legs. And he's always saying, I'm lucky, I'm still alive. And this guy that really lost two friends and lost both of his legs, he's this guy that always say, life here is 99% heaven and 1% hell. And we have to focus on the 99%, because if we will focus on this 1%, it will become the 100%. It will become all consuming. So our work is to constantly remind ourselves that we are grateful for the 99%. And I'm grateful to be here with you and share the story. And we are focusing together with Jewish National Fund on doing good things. Just like Rosalee, she could feel sorry for herself for the Holocaust, for losing a son. But she could say, I was fortunate enough to raise such an amazing son. And I'm raising an amazing daughter that is so dedicated to me, and I'm living, and I'm experiencing life, and I won't focus on this 9%. And this is a work that all of us should constantly do.
Remarkable.
Erica, hi, it's Diane. I just want to say hi. Thank you, everyone, from Lynn Kaploff to Michal to Erica, Phyllis, Nancy. It's been such an amazing program, but I just wanted to say that I'm looking at the Zoom squares and I see mothers and daughters together, and I'm getting all welled up. I see Robin with her mom in Florida, and I see Nicole, of course, with Monica and Michal. And I just have to say that, you're talking now about resilience and the strength that our mothers gave us to move with each day and what we're doing with COVID. And now in many cases, we are now taking care of our moms, or we're taking care of each other. I think that's really what it is. And I think, it says so much, the programs that Ronnie is putting together around the country in terms of Women for Israel, because we really take care of our families. It is always the women that are behind, I think, our husbands' careers. And for those of us that are not married, for making sure the world is a better place. And I just wanted to acknowledge, and I think it's so beautiful that Nicole can be with Monica today and Robin can be with her mom in Florida, which is beautiful. So I just wanted to share that I think the love that, we're all able to exude with our families, either close by or through Zoom because of COVID, is really helping to make the world continue and bring peace as much as possible to all of us. So thank you, Erica.
Amen to that. We have time for a couple more, Stuart. Can we run a little late? Okay, Phyllis, you've had your hand up for a while.
Well, what I wanted to say is that I didn't want to really ask a question, but I just wanted to share with you that something really has, hit a chord with me. As Lilian has said, I've known her since high school. We went to high school together. I had absolutely no idea that her parents were Holocaust survivors. And what's interesting to me is the majority of Holocaust survivors and children of Holocaust survivors seem to define themselves by that tragedy. And, I think it's amazing, Lilian, that was not who you were. You didn't make that who you were. You didn't want sympathy from people. You didn't want to share that as a defining moment or a definition of who you were. And I just think that's wonderful. I mean, your parents went through things that I can't even imagine. And so therefore you were a part of that, and yet that never stopped you. You were, you know, as personable and wonderful in high school as you are today.
Thank you.
And I just think it's terrific, and I love you.
Oh, and I adore you. And, you know, I'm so honored to do this show, this program for you. And it's such a beautiful work that you're doing, and for everybody there doing that work. And I too am loving to see the mothers and daughters. It's touching my heart because that's really what it's about, you know. And I think, you know, and I mentioned that in the speech. It's, you know, you just can't dwell on what happened, on what isn't. You know, it's what is. And they were so happy to be in a new country and did everything for me to adapt and be the best that I could be. And every day was a joy. And we were just happy with whatever we got. And that was really, and whatever we achieved. Every little thing was exciting, was a big thing. So we were grateful all of our lives. Rosalee, Abraham, Manny, myself, any little thing that was good in our lives, we were grateful for. And anything that wasn't good, we knew we would overcome it. And just the resilience, I think that's the key. And I think now more than ever, we have to think of resilience around the world, especially in the United States. It's so frightening in different parts of the country in the United States, you know, where everything is locked down, where places are ghost towns, where what will happen next? What's our new reality? How are we going to do this? All our plans have been thwarted. So it's kind of thinking that new normal and figuring out that bad times don't last forever. It may take a while, but it does get better. It does. And it's hard to remind yourself of that, but you have to do it. And I keep thinking of Rosalee every day. You know, it's not forever, because it has been just unbearable at times.
I think those are beautiful words for us to close on, these note of resilience and partnered with gratitude that you both expressed so beautifully in your framework, in the way you approach life. You're both so immensely grateful for what is good in the world, and you continue to work to make it better. So we want to thank you both, and I'm grateful to all of you. I feel like I've had a wonderful visit in a way, and I see so many faces that I miss, and I'm sure you do as well. We can't wait to be together for a real Women for Israel in-person social and learning opportunity for JNF. But in the meantime, you are both extraordinary guests. Thank you so much, Michal. Thank you, Lilian. Thank you to the amazing partners who put this together. This committee has been extraordinarily fun to work with. I've learned so much. And Stuart and Diane, of course, thank you for being at the helm there and steering our ship. It's been a real joy. Thank you. And we wish you a good week.
Thank you.
And all good things.